I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of upgrades it would recommend for my rental properties. And the truth is, it made the same costly mistakes that I made as a newbie investor. So we're gonna go over exactly what it is that ChatGPT recommended to me, the 5 upgrades it recommended, and the 2 that I strongly recommend that you avoid unless you like losing money. And the truth is, ChatGPT is great at a lot of things. It can help you stay organized. It can write emails for you, but I don't necessarily think I trust it to be my GC, or at least to understand the local market here in Bryan-College Station. Let's jump into the video so I can explain to you exactly what happened. The first recommendation I really can't argue with. Paint and lighting is one of the best ways to increase the value and rentability, and it's one of the best ROIs for your property in almost every single case. ChatGPT and I both agree that you should come in with a neutral color for your walls. Agreeable gray is a good color that seems to work for me, and a white trim, white doors is usually a good contrast and a good look. While you're at it, if you have the ability, upgrade your light bulbs. They all have a similar hue. You can do a quick search, but there are different colors you want for like bedrooms versus living rooms. Yep, you can get into the weeds on that, but the good news is light bulbs are relatively cheap. And then if you have the chance to upgrade a light fixture, particularly these old booby lights that I put in some of my first rental properties, and replacing them with a flush mount LED, or even if you can get the LED puck lights, these are replacing can lights. They're easy to install and they look great to upgrade the lighting in something like a dark kitchen. The point is, in your pictures and in person, your property is gonna look a lot brighter. You're gonna spend about $1.50 per square foot in paint. So for a 1,000 square foot rental, we're talking about a $1,500 to maybe $2,000 investment, but your return, one, the value went up immediately by $5,000. I almost guarantee it, but your rent rate's gonna go up by, guys, as much as $100 to $150 a month. That means that you just increased your income by $1,200 to $1,800 on a $2,000 investment. That is a great return on your investment. Up next, we look at flooring. The number 2 recommendation by ChatGPT is another great one. In fact, that's where I go to next when I'm upgrading a unit, flooring. ChatGPT recommends LVP in the living space. LVP stands for luxury vinyl plank, and then carpet in the bedrooms. I only have a slightly different take on this. LVP usually refers to a click-in product. I do like a glue-down flooring. Both are very durable, but the difference is when you have a glue-down product, if you do have a tile that gets scraped, you simply pull it up, scrape off the old glue, slap on some new glue, and glue it back down. It's a very easy, inexpensive product, which means it costs you less money and it allows you to give more security deposit back to the tenant. As far as carpet goes, I generally only put carpet in bedrooms on my second floor units. So if you have a fourplex, an upstairs unit would get carpet in the bedrooms. Otherwise, I just do the LVP or the glue down product throughout the entire property. It's very durable, and of course it avoids that annoying cat smell that can get stuck in carpets. As far as pricing goes, for your carpet or the LVP, you're looking at about $3 to maybe $5 per square foot. Let's call it $4 per square foot on a 1,000 square foot unit. It's gonna cost you about $4,000, but it will totally transform the space, and I really think it'll push rents by $50 to $100 easy on that same size space. So overall, a good return on your investment, and I'll be honest, you'll just be much happier with a durable product like an LVP instead of an old shaggy carpet. The third recommendation that ChatGPT and I both agree on is the kitchen. And we're not talking about a full renovation, just some light upgrades that get you the best bang for your buck. Starting off with the cabinets. In order to refresh the style of the cabinets, you should go in order with 1, try to preserve what you have. Maybe you can just do some touch-up paint or put a new clear coat on those cabinets and bring them back to life. Then if you have to, maybe you could sand them down and have them repainted. Then if the style's out of date or they're damaged, maybe you can just replace the doors and drawers. That's called refacing your cabinets. And then lastly, if you absolutely had to, you could completely gut the cabinets, but that gets really expensive, so I would avoid that at all costs. Then you want to add on some hardware that always dresses up cabinets, especially if you're going with the option 1, saving what you have. New hardware can be a night and day difference. Then we would look at countertops. Guys, the thing about countertops is they can get very expensive. I generally recommend you stay with a nicer end laminate or an entry grade stone like quartz or granite. When I first started off, I leaned towards laminate because it was so much cheaper, and ChatGPT would steer you in that direction as well. But now with a little bit more experience, I do my best to stretch my budget to go for the stone. I think it just adds an extra level of oomph factor. Yes, I said it, oomph factor that's going to drive your rental to that higher level and get you some more money. And then lastly, I always try to leave some money in my budget for a backsplash. Guys, a lot of rental properties don't have it. It gives you that leg up on the competition. And quite frankly, I think it can tie the whole space together if you do the color selection correctly. So what do we talk about price-wise for this light upgrade to a kitchen? Well, let's assume that you're gonna repaint the cabinets. That's gonna cost you probably about $1,000 to $1,500 to have a good paint job done to your cabinets. And then you're gonna add some hardware, another couple $100 there. And then your countertop might cost you $3,000. So if we're adding it up here, we're about $1,500 to $2,000 in paint and hardware, another $3,000 for your countertops and $500 for your backsplash. So for $5,500, let's call it $5,000 to $7,000, your kitchen will be completely transformed. Another bonus tip here is don't neglect your appliances. If they are broken or just super outdated, like almondy kind of look to them, that color, it's time to replace those because almonds out, white or black is the way to go. You might be overwhelmed at this point trying to keep track of all of the budget items. How much does flooring cost? What about the countertops? Greg said something about paint. What about the trim? The good news is I made a PDF in conjunction with this video that is literally the breakdown of the upgrades I do to a property and then some rough ideas of what the costs are going to be. That should get you moving in the right direction when it comes to budgeting for a rehab like this. So head down to the description below, click the link. I'll send you that PDF. The fourth recommendation is also ChatGPT's first major mistake. Now it has this part correct. You should focus on the bathroom. It did have these recommendations correct. Upgrade the mirror, the light, the faucet. But this is where it completely missed. It recommended that I reglaze the tub. Quite frankly, I've made that mistake a number of times in the past. Here's what we found about reglazing. There's two options. You go with a national brand that charges way too much. We're talking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Or you go with a DIY approach or the local guy who can do it for you, the I got a guy approach. The problem with the cheap method is that it will fail on you usually within 2 to 5 years. The problem is when it fails is it peels. And I really don't want a bathtub to start peeling while my tenants are giving their kids a bath. It's a really bad look for you as a landlord, but it also is going to increase your vacancy rate. So the cheap option is a no-go. The expensive option is as expensive as just replacing the tub. I recommend you go that route. Replace the tub and the surround as required. Usually you can keep the tub and do a new tile surround, but the point is avoid reglazing at all costs. When we're talking about expenses here, to do a new tub and tile surround is probably going to cost you somewhere in the range of $3,000 to $4,000, maybe $5,000. But quite frankly, it is way better than the alternative, which is having tenants non-renew on you because their tub is literally peeling on them. That's my recommendations on bathrooms. Let's move on to ChatGPT's biggest mistake. I asked ChatGPT the top 5 return on investment upgrades you can make to a tired rental property here in College Station. And it gave me the list as follows, but it screwed up on number 5. It said paint, I agree. It said flooring, specifically LVP, I agree. It said to do a light upgrade to your kitchen, I agree. It said a nice upgrade to the bathroom will go a long way, I agree. And then number 5, it said curb appeal, and I agree. Well, what did it get wrong? It got wrong in the fact that it left curb appeal at number 5. Curb appeal should be number 2, guys. The thing about curb appeal is it's very inexpensive. We're only talking about painting the front door, replacing a mailbox, throwing down some mulch, and power washing the house. For less than $1,000, you can completely change the first impression of this property. That is going to greatly increase the overall perception of a potential tenant, which will increase your occupancy, which will increase your rental income, and will decrease your vacancy. It is probably the best ROI, second only to repainting the property, which is why I highly recommend you focus on curb appeal. The bonus tip, one of the best return on investments you can make is subscribing to this channel. Guys, it's absolutely free. And in this video alone, I probably just made you or saved you a couple $1,000. So for a 2-second click of a mouse, you just saved thousands of dollars. That might be the best return on investment in College Station. Also, if you want to do me a favor, hit that like button. What that does is keep me motivated to keep making you videos. And if you do nothing else, until next week, you take it easy.